Likewise, depression is still a survival strategy, even if it leads to your suicide in the end. How can depression be a survival strategy? Well, just think about it. What is depression really about? Depression is a certain emotional state. This emotional state is actually a very important signal that your subconscious mind is creating based on the situation that you find yourself in. So, for example, maybe you're working in a 9-to-5 job that is ruining your potential in life. You're just wasting your life there, and you're feeling miserable, and eventually you become depressed. That's a signal from your subconscious mind telling you, hey, buddy, this is not the job for you. You need to move on to something else, something bigger. There's bigger stuff for you to do out there in the world. But maybe you're too scared to act on that. Maybe you're too lazy to go find a new job or to develop a new career from scratch. It's hard. And so you just kind of stick with it and you say that, it'll improve. It'll improve. I don't need to change anything. But it just gets worse and worse and worse. And you get more and more depressed until eventually maybe you kill yourself. So this was a survival strategy in the sense that you were surviving as that lazy self, that scared self that didn't want to go out there. Also, the depression was a signal. You weren't listening to it. See, it was telling you to wake up and to do something new and to change, but you didn't listen to it. And then eventually it got you to where it got you. Also, it could be that you develop a certain identity about being depressed, and you can turn that into a whole victim identity, getting attention from other people and so forth. And then that becomes your survival strategy. See? So it's very, very sophisticated. Especially your entire emotional system is very sophisticated in how it sends you signals that help you to navigate life. And a lot of people, they are depressed, but they never kill themselves. What happens is that they're depressed for a few years or so forth. And then finally they admit to themselves that, okay, this is enough. I can't do this anymore. I got to go to a therapist, or I got to stop drinking, or I got to stop smoking, or I got to stop whatever I'm doing that's contributing to this depression. And they do. They change their career. They quit a bad relationship, which was depressing them. And then their depression lifts. Most depression, of course, doesn't end in suicide. Speaking of suicide bombers, that's a survival strategy right there. Now you might wonder, but Leo, how? Seems like it's the opposite of that. Seems like it's destroying your whole case here for survival, but not at all. Because look, a suicide bomber, he's got very strong religious convictions and beliefs. He believes in an afterlife. He believes in Allah. He believes in the importance of defending his homeland against foreign invaders or whatever it might be, or against the corruption of the West, against the great Satan. So this guy who's doing the suicide bombing, he's got a very strong ego and a very strong self-image about being a loyal Muslim who's going to be a martyr and dying for the cause. And then he does so. And by doing that, he believes he's going to go to an afterlife and all that good stuff. And that is what's being survived, not the physical body. The physical body is not what's primary. And actually, it's you who's judging this person for being foolish. Because in the West, we look at that and say, well, how stupid to think that there's an afterlife and that you're going to go to heaven for blowing yourself up. But actually, joke's on you, because what do you think happens to the suicide bomber after he dies? He becomes infinite. He becomes Allah. So he's not wrong about that. What he's deluded about is thinking that the suicide bombing is somehow necessary, and that hurting people is somehow necessary in order to reach Allah. That, of course, is not at all the case, and that's very self-destructive and counterproductive. But these survival strategies can be very, very twisted, is what I'm trying to say. Many of them are self-destructive. And that's precisely why we want to become more conscious of them, because the survival strategies we pick up when we're young and from our culture and from our environment, they tend to generally be quite self-destructive. And that's because they're picked up unconsciously. They're programmed into us, either in school or in our church or by watching television or from our parents and friends or whatever it is.